Welcome to another Quarantine Cuisine. Today we're making soup again.
I like
this time,
soup.
Oh, Zoe likes soup. This time we're going to make a lentil, bacon and gammon soup made with a super secret special ingredient, which isn't secret. We're going to use a bone broth. The recipe for the bone broth is going to be included in another video that will be uploaded soon, so check that one out as well. Come this way. In a pan we have got some onions that are cooked in the fat from the bacon and the gammon that I've cooked already. Okay, so they're going to take on all that fantastic bacony, gammony taste. Okay, here is the gammon and the bacon. The bacon's smoked, the gammon happens not to be smoked. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to put those in now because what we're going to do with the soup is we're going to blend it down. Whiz it down. I'm going to add this afterwards, so we've got lumps of meat in the nice smooth sauce. Okay, but we're going to get the bacony taste because the bacon fat is cooked in. Ingredient time. We have 2 tins of tomatoes. We have a potato, or 2 potatoes actually, cut up nice and small. The potatoes added because it makes the smooth nice and soup. It makes the soup nice and smooth. And adds a sort of silky taste to it. Also, extra calories, extra starch. We've got some garlic. I like garlic, so we've got 4 cloves of garlic there. 2 carrots and 2 sticks of celery. Also, we've got some red lentils here. I don't know why they're called red. They're definitely orange. And I've just washed those in some cold water. And then we have our bone broth. And the bone broth is this being cooked for 28 hours actually, and it's 2 chicken carcasses, onions, garlic, celery, carrots, slow cooked. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so we've got the onions in the pan. What we're going to do now is scrape in this lot of stuff. It's the veg or the aromatics if you want to be posh. So in it all goes.
Lentils are also great for adding protein if you're veggie or vegan, or if you're just trying to make your food budget stretch a bit further.
Yeah, lentils have got some protein in, loads of carbohydrate. It adds calories. Okay, calories are important. It's not all bad when it comes to calories. You do need to eat enough. And what we're going to have here is a meal in a bowl.
So we like to serve this with chunks of bread and butter.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's some homemade bread that either Conrad or Zoe have made. So, in that goes. The onion's been cooked down for quite a while. The cooking of the other vegetables is going to be done in the water, okay, or in the stock. So, I'm going to add in the lentils. Give those a stir.
At what point do you add the mug of strong black coffee?
That's poured into each eyeball every 5 minutes. Okay. Then we're going to add the stock. So this
Bone broth.
Yeah, this is bone broth. Slow cooked, 28 hours bone broth. By itself, it's absolutely delicious. You're going to get 2 things from adding bone broth to your soups. One is an incredible depth of flavour. It just makes it taste so much better. And that's good. Okay, if it tastes better, it's better. But also, what you got with the bone broth is you've got all the calcium and all the goodness and the protein from the bones and the carcass sort of pulled into it. Just fantastically good for you. Especially, as it turns out, for your gut flora, okay, for your sort of healthy gut biome. So we're going to pour that into there. Stir that. Some of the onion's been cooked down for a while, so bits of brown onion will be stuck to the bottom, so we're going to use the stock to deglaze that. 2 tins of tomatoes. Now these are peeled tomatoes, they're not being chopped up, but we're going to cook this for a while and whiz it up anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I accidentally bought whole tinned tomatoes rather than chopped.
So just to make sure you get the last remnants of the tomato juice in there, pour some water in, can from can, all that goes in. And that's about all it needs. I'm not adding any seasoning to this yet. I'm going to cook it down. The lentils take about 15 minutes to cook, that's all. And then I'll whiz it down and then I'll taste it. Because we've added the gammon and the bacon, they've actually got, sorry? Well, no, we will be adding the gammon and the bacon, and we've cooked the gammon and the bacon fat with the onions. It leaches quite a bit of the salt out of the cured meats. So I don't want to chuck a ton of salt in here yet. I'm going to see how it tastes. And the chicken stock had some salt in it because it was all the remains of a roast dinner that we had the other night. So that can just do its own thing. I've got a lid here. Turn it down. 20 minutes, forget about it. And I'm just going to use a stick blender to whiz it all down. The lentils will add a lot of thickness to the soup, and the potato will add a lot of thickness to the soup. So I might need to water it down a little bit further until it's the consistency that I like. Time to finish my coffee. Ignore that. Whiz it down, and then in a bowl we're going to add a mixture of the bacon and the gammon, and then pour the soup over that. Oh, it's going to be so good. Thank you. That's the soup blended down. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the gammon and bacon just to warm that back up again. Also, all that salty, bacony goodness is going to go into the soup. So I'm going to let that heat up and stir it for about a minute. This was probably cooked for 20 minutes. The red lentils take almost no time at all to cook, and they add so many sort of carbohydrates, good carbs and starches to the soup, so absolutely delicious. What I've not done, as mentioned earlier on, is I've not seasoned this yet because of the bacon and the gammon and the bone broth that I've added to it has all got salt in it. I'm just going to check that it's okay. I'm just going to grab a spoon, clean spoon, kitchen tip. You don't double dip, especially in these diseased times that we live in. Okay, so that needs a little bit of salt. I could have cooked the celery down a little bit longer. There's a bit of crunch to it. This looks like I'm adding a lot of salt, but we're looking at litres and litres of soup here, so it'll be absolutely fine.
We haven't added any stock cubes into this because the bone broth is the stock basically, and they also, stock cubes have quite a bit of salt in, and again with the bacon and the gammon, no need for it.
It doesn't really need it.
If you don't have bone broth, by all means chuck in stock cubes. Go for pork rather than anything else because it goes with the bacon.
Yeah, you can actually get ham stock cubes, which are really nice. We've got some sriracha sauce here. I've already added some in, but it just gives a little bit of a kick to it. Our 3 kids aren't super fussed on spicy food, so we only add a little bit. And again, it's a large stock pot worth of soup. It just raises it up a little bit, gives an extra sort of taste dimension.
You can always shove some straight in your bowl once you've served it out. People can spice their own.
Exactly. And I think we're good to go. So consistency-wise, if you come a little bit closer, it's definitely a soup. Okay, it's not too runny, but also I don't have to serve it by the slice. Now, some people, when they make soup, who's always delicious, delicious soups.
Yeah.
But sometimes Zoe does make them a little bit on the thick side.
If the soup doesn't stick to your ribs, what's the bleeding point?
What's the bleeding point? Okay, So I'm going to use 2 utensils for this. Slotted spoon and a ladle. All the bacony, gammony bits will have sunk to the bottom. So I'm going to make sure that each bowl has got a good portion of that, and then I can add the soup.
And again,
Like
this freezes really well, so why not make a double batch? Chuck it in the freezer.
There's enough there for sort of 3 lunches for us
Yeah.
quite easily. And there you have a beautiful bowl of lentil, tomato, bacon soup with a hint of chilli.
Oh.
And bone broth. So good.
Bon
So
appetit.
good. Thank you.